Hello, guys. This is Amber with Double A Crime Files. I just wanted to let you know about this little app called Anchor. It is the easiest way for you to jumpstart your podcast business. Once you do record your podcast, you upload it, and Anchor then automatically distributes it and gets it out there to Apple, Google, Spotify, and many, many more. You can make money from this podcast on here with no minimum listenership. Everything you need is right here in one place, on the app, on your phone, on your tablet, or on your computer. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And I hope to see you be a co-host in one of our future podcasts. Thank you, guys.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Double A Crime Files. It is your two favorite people, Arianne and Amber here.
Hello.
So, if you guys listened on Sunday, I had told you guys that I was doing a double feature today, and I still am. So we're gonna try to get through this because, like I said, this is a double feature. One of it is just really straightforward. It's an open and shut case, so it's not, there's not a lot of information on the people except for the case itself. So there's really not a background for me to state. But anyway, so our very first story actually happened in Birmingham, Alabama. This was told to me by my sister's boyfriend, actually. So shout out to Braxton. He did not mention the name. He just told me of the case and I had to look it up. I was not known. He said it's around the 1990s. So you know how many Birmingham cases I had to go through just to find this case?
Oh, okay.
This case is about Willie Earl Scott, and Latanya Sager. So Latanya Sager is a 10-year-old. This happened in 1999. So she was 10 years old at the time, which is roughly our age. So I could guess she was born either late or in 1989 or early 1990s, I would guess.
Okay.
So she was 10 years old and during the evening of September 10th, 1999. So Willie Earl Scott, who was 19 at the time, had lived with his grandmother, where Latanya and her mother and her younger sister also lived. They
were not related?
They were related. That Willie is actually related to Latanya's mother. I think they were cousins.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit of people that lived in this house. So there was Willie Earl, Latanya, her younger sister, her mother Latrice, Latrice's brother Albert, and his girlfriend, and then their two children.
Let me guess, was it like a 2-bedroom house or apartment?
It doesn't say what kind. I think it's a house because they said there was a garage and there was a basement. So it wasn't an apartment. So it was an actual house.
I feel like it's a small house.
Birmingham has got quite a bit of a high crime rate anyways. But this was like pretty big.
Okay.
So around the evening of September 10th, 1999, her Latanya, who was a 10-year-old, and her mother actually went to another person's house to play cards. And they came home at 1:30 a.m. on September 11th, 1999. So while they were driving home, they saw Willie Earl walking near the house. And then Latanya and her mother went to the basement of the house where their bedrooms were. And so her mom had told her that she was very tired, and then she went off to her bedroom. So Latrice, which is the mother, actually did not, see her daughter after that. So at the time, LaTanya was actually still wearing her school uniform, which was a white shirt and blue shorts. And she was wearing her blue house slippers. So Latrice, which is her mom, actually went to her bedroom after LaTanya told her that she was tired.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like very specific because I'm actually reading this off of the actual police report. Because, like I said, this is an open and shut case, so there's not any backgrounds on any of these people.
Okay.
So Latrice, which is the mother, actually placed a handgun and some jewelry on the ironing board that was located in her room. Then she said that she took a bath. She came out of the bedroom or bathroom, sorry. She saw Willie Earl Scott come into the house through the garage entrance, which he normally did, which actually
is attached to the basement.
It doesn't say if it's attached to the basement, but I would assume, like most houses are, I would assume.
Okay.
But it doesn't actually state how the layout of the house is.
I wish when they did their reports, they would do that so we can envision this. Man.
There's not even a picture of the house.
Man.
Online.
They're cheating us. I want to see the layout so I can understand.
So, she's seen Willie Earl go up the stairs into the house and then testified that Willie Earl, who it says on the police report, they know that they're going to start calling him Scott from here on out because that's his last name. But the mother testified that he was playing rap music on the radio in the kitchen, like really loud. And so the mother goes upstairs and turned on the air conditioning because she noticed that LaTanya was not having her blanket on her like she normally does. So she assumed that it was hot for her. Okay. So she went upstairs and turned on the air conditioning. And then she went back to the bedrooms and went to sleep. During the night, the grandmother got up and saw Willie Earl driving away in a Lexus that had been parked outside of the house. And then in the following morning, Latrice, which is LaTanya's mother, her brother Albert was trying to find the broom, which I guess he was trying to clean upstairs. And he remembered that LaTanya actually had the broom last while she was downstairs cleaning. So he assumed that that was the last location of the broom. So he went downstairs to actually go and look for it. So he goes down there and first he searched around the mother's room, and the mother said, well, why don't you look in LaTanya's room because she had it last. So he goes in there, noticed, he knocked first and no one answered. And then he went in there and it looked like she was sleeping on her stomach, and the cover was partially on her and partially off, just like how normal people probably slept. So he just assumed that she was sleeping. So then he tried to wake her up by touching her foot that was outside of the blanket, and noticed that her foot was like suspiciously way too cold for it to be how it was. And so he went up to her, checked her breathing, noticed she wasn't breathing, and noticed that she was dead. Went and notified the mother, who realized that her gun was missing from her bedroom that was on the ironing board that she placed the night before. And also the Lexus was missing from the driveway.
Whose Lexus was it?
That was her mom's or hers.
It was her Lexus.
Latrice's, Latanya's mother's Lexus, Latrice.
Oh my God.
So, Dr. Bruce Alexander performed an autopsy on Latanya's body, stated that Latanya weighed 64 pounds and was slightly more than 4.5 feet tall. And the doctor had said Latanya's lower lip was bruised and she had an abrasion on her neck. The doctor discovered small hemorrhages in the whites of her eyes, which are consistent with asphyxiation.
So he
Then he
strangled her.
Yeah. Then he discovered extensive hemorrhaging beneath Latanya's vocal cords as well as her lower eyelid. He also observed extensive swelling on Latanya's brain and hemorrhaging in the area behind the brain. Then the doctor had concluded that the cause of death was asphyxiation and strangulation, and possibly also with suffocation.
That is so heartbreaking to hear.
Yeah, and this
Like,
is like I said, this was a 10-year-old girl. And now I don't know how close the bedrooms were between her and her mother's bedroom, but they did not sleep in the same bedroom. They had separate bedrooms down at the basement or down the lower floor.
it's like this case right here. Listening to this, y'all, I'm like more emotional. I usually don't get emotional in cases. I'm usually desensitized, but this case makes me want to cry because my daughter will be 10 next Saturday. So all I can see is my child. And
Yeah,
her room
this
is right across from my room. And all I can see is in my head just peeking in her room and seeing her looking like she's asleep, not knowing she's dead. Like this case is really sad to hear, right?
it gets worse, so you got to brace yourself. It gets really worse.
So if y'all hear me cry, just charge it to I'm a mom.
Yeah, it gets heartbreaking. So Dr. Alexander, the one who is doing the autopsy, also observed a shiny substance down in Latanya's pubic area and the inside of both of her thighs. And so they collected and tested in the laboratory. The results, of course, was semen, and it actually was Willie Scott's DNA. So the doctor had taken oral, anal, and vaginal swabs and discovered no sperm in any of the tested areas. So on the evening of September 10th, 1999, which was when they had, I guess, the last night that she was alive, um, a family member had spent the night with Willie Scott's, I guess. No, not Willie Scott's. One of their aunts, and it was located about 10 miles from from Latanya's residence. And this person, Ladarius Wright, had testified saying that there was a so-called peeping Tom that had looked into the bedroom window at approximately 3:20 a.m. and had actually reported it to the police that same exact night. But there was no reports of any police actually driving by to see if there was a so-called peeping Tom, but he did call. So approximately 6 a.m. in the morning of September 11th, 1999, Willie Earl pushed his way into Ladarius Wright's aunt's house where he was at, and actually was waving a gun. And they were acquainted with Willie Earl, but they have never invited him into their place before. And they had testified that Willie Earl was acting weird. And she finally convinced him to leave their house and go with her to a nearby restaurant where she had worked. And that's where she testified that she actually got into the Lexus that he had, that the grandmother said they saw him drive off with. So, fearing for her safety, she had ended up um, like called her aunt and basically told her, okay, since we've got Willie Earl here, go make sure that the windows are locked, that the doors are locked, nobody comes in, because she had really not lured, convinced Willie Earl to go with her to the restaurant that she worked, so that way her aunt wouldn't be hurt. So she called her just to let her know to make sure that the windows and doors are locked, because Willie Earl actually ended up leaving. So she was just making sure that he was not heading back to their place. But he actually did. And so he ended up breaking into the place roughly around 7 a.m. And she had testified that she got out of the shower, he threw her on the bed and choked her, and that Willie Earl ended up raping this lady. So then Willie Earl made oh man, I can't say her. Landris, there we go. Landris Wright, to go to the bathroom, where he forced her head in the toilet and put a pillow up against the back of her head. Then he put a bullet to the pillow and said that he was going to blow her brains out. But then he decided not to and forced her to bathe in the tub for an hour. And then he did his whole thing the second time. And then he basically repeated the process again, told her to get out and put her head in the toilet, and then put the pillow behind her head, and then made her go back into the bathtub. And actually, the last time was he had brought in like regular vinegar and dumped it in the water, in the bath water, and made herself like scrub. So then he made her sit on the bedroom floor, told her that he had killed the girl the night before, basically started confessing of everything. And he also stated that he killed a boy over drugs and that he had raped another girl. And Willie Earl actually told Landris Wright to lie in the bed with him, and he put his leg across her so that she couldn't really move, and he fell asleep. And she was certain that she was gonna like die, but she escaped. She ran away from the house to a nearby store, where someone actually flagged down police officers who were in the area. And then the police caught Willie Earl in Landris Smith's house. Of course, made her wait outside with another police officer where she was safe. And while they brought Willie Earl out, and she testified against Willie Earl, and Willie Earl actually said that he would be out of jail the next day. So she was actually quite very scared. He spit on Landris and threatened to, quote unquote, chop up her brother. And her mother testified that her daughter placed a really frantic phone call to her after she had escaped the house. And she and I guess she had some children that were staying at her mom's house. They ended up driving to the mother's house. And he was threatening that he was going to chop up her kids. and it was pretty bad. So Officer Terry Jones from the Birmingham Police Department was on patrol when this happened. He was the one that was actually flagged down. He actually is on Willie Earl Scott is on death row right now. Like, he's still alive. So he he's still alive, but he's on death row.
Guys, listening to this, like, I just want to say it's very hard to listen to this, and anyone that is like me, that is a victim of sexual trauma, abuse as a child and as an adult, listening to this is hard. I just can't imagine this. Like, it's hard for me because I see myself in this case and I see my child in this case, and anybody else listening that's been through anything like that can see themselves in this case. And this case is so hard to hear that this crazy demented man, this is probably one of the worst cases I've heard. It is so hard to hear. That poor child.
And so here's the bad part. Even though he's on death row, okay, and he's awaiting for his execution, his family is actually still fighting because, believe it or not, he's active on Facebook.
What the fuck?
So they've filed complaints against the police department. They filed complaints against the correction facility that he's housed in
What is
because
his
he's
Facebook? Guys, I want us to spam his fucking Facebook.
I'm not exactly sure if he's using his name or if he's using like an
We need to
alias.
hunt this guy down. There's gotta be a petition. We gotta do whatever we can do. Whatever's out there, Arianne, find it out and let us know Sunday before we actually do our thing. We need to know what we can do to help this man rot and not have any access to any freedoms, not have any access to anything. He does not deserve. I don't think that we are, like how you said, the judge, the executioner, all that. That man does not deserve to breathe.
He really doesn't. There's no other we don't know any information on his other victims that he confessed to. So this was the actual major one that we know of. Like I said, it's an open and shut case. They knew exactly who did it, but there's no like background on any of them. And so the family's actually, like I said, fighting, still fighting because they realized that he was active on Facebook. Someone had given him a cell phone.
Probably a correctional officer because they're
And
crooked as fuck.
so it was kind of one of those, it's just,
This case is like heartbreaking and pisses me the fuck off. I'm so pissed off. Guys, I did not expect to get this emotional, but now I'm past the sad part. I'm angry. I'm
yeah, so
angry as hell.
there was actually two of his aunts actually testified on behalf of him and testified that this all happened because of his upbringing.
Fuck that shit. I'm so sick of people. I'm so sick of people using that as a fucking excuse.
So on his trial, he professed his innocence and spoke in a rambling way about his dream to be a writer and his former career as a rap music artist, which is ridiculous in my eyes. Like, you can have dreams, but that doesn't
There's
give you the
no
right.
excuse. No one should than the heinous acts that he committed.
And I
He
mean, it
raped.
came out positive that the semen that was found in between her legs were his.
He
So
raped
it was
and
positive.
killed this 10-year-old girl. That is a fact, a 100% fact that he raped and killed her. And he did more than just damage to her. What he did to her damaged the whole entire family. And the fact that she was his fucking family. And this pisses me off because it's family that hurts family the most. And I can attest to that firsthand. Family hurts you first and the hardest. He does not deserve anything, and any of his family members defending him are pieces of shit, and they deserve to be alongside him as well to
Yeah, when I
condone
was
that.
reading this, I was doing the key points to my sister and she couldn't. Like, I was just, and I mean, I can say it's straightforward now, but when I first read it, I had to read it several times for me to grow numb to
Yeah,
this.
cause you're doing it
Cause
professionally. You're able to get it out, and I can hear it. Y'all. That's probably the quietest I've ever been through any of our podcasts because I just could not stomach hearing that. And she's told us cases about many other brutal killings, many other killings involving children. But this one right here, this takes the cake.
yeah, this, like I said, and this happened in Birmingham, which is actually just an hour and a half from me. This was quite a famous, well-known case. So it
Why
was
is he still
just,
breathing?
I don't know. And I've told this to Amber before. I don't believe anybody on death row should have, they have that last meal or whatever. I don't believe any of them deserve any of that, cuz I mean, why? Why? The people that they had killed did not get a choice to have a last meal. Didn't even get a choice to if they wanted to live or not. So, it's not fair. I mean, this poor child was just sleeping. She was exhausted. She was tired. She just wanted to sleep. She had a fun day at school. Then she was able to go with her mom to a family member's house to play some cards and play with her cousins. And family members have known Latanya to be very intelligent, very bright, very smiley. Her teachers raved about her. She never caused trouble. She always did what she was supposed to do without questioning. She was a good child. And
And
this was,
at the end of the day, she was a, in bold letters, bold capital letters, child.
mhm,
No child deserves any of that.
exactly, especially somebody that she considers family. So, like I said, this was an open and shut case. He is still in death row. He is still in Birmingham at the correctional facility. Um, so that's all that I have on that case. I
Guys,
will keep in track of what the family's doing. I'm going to look for the petition that I think they started
and we
um,
need to get
for him.
his information at the facility that he's at. Get his DOC number, guys. Write him and let him know what kind of filthy pig he is.
It was not a fun story to read, and I actually read this about 2 weeks ago. So, and I had to continuously read it. I had purposely left it up on my laptop just so every time I was on my laptop, I was able to read it because it was very hard to read. So I had to constantly read it in preparation for today. That's why I wanted to do a double feature um, today because, like I said, it's an open and shut case. There's nothing really else I could say about this case.
Well, way to open up the podcast, Arianne.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, it gets worse. My second guy.
Look, guys, this is the day after my birthday, and she's literally killing me right now. Welcome to being 31.
I know, right? This is your
Jesus.
birthday for me. So
Gosh.
move on, you guys. Um, my second person is actually a Chinese um guy by the name of Yang Xinhai. Xinhai. So of course Yang being his last name, Xinhai. He was born on July 17th, 1968. Oop. There we go. Everything's going down. Anyways, he was born in a very poor family in Henan Province in China, and his family actually was one of the most poverty stricken, like the village that he lived in was the most poverty stricken village. But he was described as very intelligent, but introverted. And he left school in 1985 when he was 17, and he refused to go back home. So instead of going back home, finishing school, doing all that, he actually traveled around China and was finding work as a hard laborer. Um, but he was convicted of theft in 1988 and 1991 and was sent to a labor camp to serve his sentences. And that was very common in China, and I think it's still active now, the labor camp, but it's
Can,
illegal technically.
can you describe to our listeners who, much like me, have never heard of this, what a labor camp is?
A labor camp is basically like you're sent to work on a farm.
Okay.
So, like, you're outside most of the day in heat and extreme cold weather. So, you're forced to work with no pay, with very little food. You're out of 24 hours a day, you're probably working like 20.
Okay.
So, he was served to labor camp. Then he was arrested again in 1996 for an attempted rape, but this time he was sent to prison for 5 years. But he only served 3 years of that 5 years.
Do you
And
know why it was reduced?
no,
Okay.
it just says that he was released in 1999. So the year that he got released was the same year his killing spree began.
Oh Lord,
And
that's gonna blow my
police
nose.
police had stated that each crime was more brutal than the one before it, and he would actually continue to kill at least 67 people. So there were 67 confirmed victims
That is a lot. And what's the year span again?
towards the end of 1999 or early 2000s, and he got arrested in 2003. So in
So
the span of 3 years.
that's not a long year for that many people. That's fairly close together.
Yeah,
Short span.
he was doing it pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
So he was on a so-called murder spree between 1999 and 2003 in Hebei, Shandong, Anhui, and Henan provinces in China. I'm not exactly sure where those locations are, but I could assume they're relatively close since he did not have a vehicle.
Right.
And plus, mostly in China, even to this day, a lot of people still travel by public transportations, either a bus, train.
And I notice a lot of people use bikes.
Yeah, they're cool. They're quite active but a lot of families, and with knowing his background was very poor, he would not have a vehicle. So I would assume they were relatively close. So what he would do was actually enter homes at night and kill everyone who occupied the property.
What the hell?
And so most of the victims were farmers. And it stated that if a whole entire family was present, he would kill every single one of them.
Wow.
His preferred method was to hack and bash them with hammers, axes, and shovels. So anything he could really find. He always wore large shoes. So that way, if forensics were like prints were taken, it wouldn't match his regular shoes.
But they're smart. They can tell by the way the imprints are made that the shoe is too big for the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And they can size it up and actually tell you what size their foot actually is.
Yeah, they I don't know what was going on. But he also wore new clothes each time he murdered to reduce the amount of forensic transfer when he went to a crime scene.
So he bought a fresh pair of clothes, killed somebody, trashed it, bought another pair of clothes.
Yeah, so it just from when I was reading his cases, it actually sounds like he would go to work, get money to get food, buy clothes, buy shoes, do his murder, probably rob them. It doesn't specifically say that if he's taken anything from this family, but I could assume he did.
It seems as if there's a breach in his psyche.
Yeah. Well, there's no there wasn't any like psychologist that went and interviewed him. There was none of that.
So we have no idea what his mental
No.
status
We
actually
just
is.
we just know that he was very smart, but he was very introverted. I mean,
Isn't
I'm
that?
introverted.
But isn't that in the list on that
Yeah,
website?
it's very
Yeah, it's
common.
a very common trait for serial killers.
Yeah. So, one of the so-called most brutal murders happened in October of 2002. He had broke into a home, killed the father, raped the mother, who at the time was pregnant, and then he killed their 6-year-old child. But
That's tragic.
luckily, the woman had survived the attack, but had very serious head injuries.
Did the child that she was carrying make
No,
it? So
no.
she had a miscarriage.
Yeah. So on November 3rd, 2003, whoopsie, I'm like dropping everything, you guys. He was so-called acting suspicious in one of the Providence's hay bay, and he ended up getting detained by the police. It was said that he was just like lurking, basically. So someone had notified the police. During the questioning, he actually, the police found out that he was wanted for murder in other providences. And so he actually confessed. But he confessed to committing 65 murders, 23 rapes, and 5 attacks that resulted in serious injury.
The fuck?
And they took his DNA and it actually matched several of the crime scenes. He went on trial. And like I said, this one too is an open and shut case.
Yeah.
But he went to trial on February 1st, 2004. He was found guilty, and was sent to be executed. He ended up, being executed 13 days later on February 14th by a gunshot to the head. So on February 14th, 2004, he was shot in the back of the head. That was his execution.
They do that in China?
Yeah.
I did not know that that was a form of execution and that you would think that would be illegal, but okay.
So this is guy I was reading his quote, his most very famous quote. He said, when I killed people, I had a desire. This inspired me to kill more. I don't care whether they deserve to live or not. It is not of my concern. I have no desire to be part of society, and society is not my concern.
That's very. I can understand that. That is very typical mentality of serial killers.
So I
He
would
was probably the most
assume I
outcome.
would assume since he, comes from a very poor family, he was very jealous rage.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't really have a house. So a lot of times, if you go into the Asian countries, I know in the Philippines, you literally live in a shack. And that's considered like an okay living.
Mm-hmm.
They're like tin roof. Um, that's not secured, not what we're used to here. Like the projects here in the States would probably be considered high living in, in most poverty stricken places. So I would assume he would see these farmers who have these houses, um, being able to eat food and have this family, which means, you would have money to have a family, to have kids. You have this um, decent life. He didn't. So he's having to work hard, but he doesn't want to really work because he's been caught for theft
Right.
and robbery. So I think he was very jealous stricken.
Yeah. I can see that.
So there's actually a timeline for his known murders. Um, it seems like he did quite a bit of murders and rape, but his most um murders, there was back in December 2002, in one village he committed 5 murders and 1 rape. Most of his murders actually happened in 2002.
I wonder what was so important in 2002.
I'm not sure, but a lot of them were in 2002. And I mean, in 2000 he did 5 murders. 2001 he did 7. 2002, there's a lot in 2002.
Jesus.
And like 14 in 2003, and the rest was in 2002. So way less than half of his murders happened in 2001, 2003. More than half of his 67 murders happened in 2002.
We were like at the end of middle school.
Yeah.
Like,
We were like in fourth or no, 2002, we were like in 7th grade. 7th, yeah, 7th grade. Because 2002, 2003 school year was 8th grade. 2004, well, no, well, 7th or 8th grade, we were around that time. So
as I
yeah,
said, we were at the end of middle school. You don't have to be technical.
yeah, my mind's gone blank, you guys. So both cases were open and shut. They didn't take forever to find the killer, especially for poor Latanya. Thankfully, and sadly, the killing ended with her. There's no more after that. Like I said, he's still in death row. We have Yang, who is passed away now, got executed. So no more of him. But it did take 3 years for police to catch him, and that was only because someone had called in saying he was acting suspicious. So if nobody had called in,
He wouldn't have.
we wouldn't have known exactly. It would have been more than 67 murders, because I feel like he was lurking to find another victim.
Because I feel like that's just in his DNA, and like, and he basically said that that's all he wanted to do. That's what his. You know what? If you ever watched Sister Act 2, and she said to the young Lauren Hill, if you this quote is not going to be word for word because I'm old as hell. I can't remember. But basically, if that's all you think about, it's all you want to do, that's all that's in your head, you go to sleep, that's all you think about, that's what you're meant to do. In my condensed version. And she was basically, letting the young Lauren Hill know that singing was in her. That's what she was born to do it and not run away from it. Don't be scared of it because it's all on our head. That is the same with these serial killers, just in a different sense. If that's all that they think about, that's all that's in them. That's all that they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you do with someone like that? Serial killing to those people is just like creating art to us, creating music, creating a movie, poetry, drawing, dancing. That that is our gift, our ability, our love, our passion. And that's the same in a demented version way for these killers. And I'm in no way, shape, or form ever sympathizing with a killer or saying that it's okay. I'm just saying, getting you to understand how that they think, basically giving you a visual. Because some people say they can just stop. No, they can't. They can't just stop
Right.
because it's in them. If you love to sing and someone told you that, or you shot your vocal cord or something like that, it would end you. So, with them being in jail, being not able to do stuff, it ends them. But as long as they're free, they're going to do what they love to do, just like you and I.
It's just,
I want to do lighter notes. On lighter notes, we do have a lot of updates to tell you, I guess. Arianne's got this new book, and then I'm getting a new book, and we're going to use these books in future podcasts. And also, Arianne, if you don't mind, can I tell them our new plan?
yeah.
Guys, we are going to start doing our podcast as a live stream. So it'll still be here on Anchor. It'll still upload it here on Anchor, and Anchor will still upload it to Google, Spotify, Apple. So only listen to us on those platforms, you're not losing that. Same with YouTube, but we'll now be more visual. So starting next week, whenever we record, we will be virtual and you'll be able to watch us live. And then you can go back and listen to your favorite episodes on any of the platforms that you love. And at some point when we get together, we'll write down everything that we have because we have a lot of sites. And I will be with Arian for 2 weeks in August. So that will be the time where you'll get a lot of activity from us, basically, because we'll actually be together. So you'll get a lot of content from us and everything. So we're growing as a podcast, and thank you for being an avid listener to allow us to grow. And we're expanding and doing more things and reaching more people. And this is something that I know makes me happy because this was the idea of Arianne's and I get to be a part of it. And I'm so happy that we both are doing something that we like.
Mm-hmm. Even
Also,
though it's something that most people find very weird to like we actually do like reading on cases and watching cases and I mean we may not be up to date on the cases that is going on now. There's a lot of cases going on now, but it's so mainstream.
and we don't want to be mainstream. That's why we're unique. We want to bring light to forgotten cases, overlooked cases, and other things because the best way to learn about present day or to learn about your future is to learn about the past.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is to discover it. And here we are bringing it to you. Also, Ariane is going to be presenting to you a bonus episode sometime in the future. That is the only spoiler I will give you. I'm not going to give you a spoiler about me. Unless Ariane knows something I don't know about me.
I don't know anything. My only spoiler today was that it was a double feature. And there may be more double features in the future. It's just I have so many stuff that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And so if they're kind of open and shut like this are, then
Is
I'll do it
this
again.
program.
Sorry. Like this
Oh,
is, then I would do it again.
I was just thinking, since we're going to be virtual now, 3 days a week, and maybe 3 days a week is our set schedule. But if we have bonus days or bonus times, there may be 2 episodes in one day or an extra day here or there that we will. The best way to know that information is to like our Facebook page because we will update it there, and Instagram is what Arian will update. Twitter, we're Twitter's there, but we're not really.
I don't know
We
the
just
Twitter information, honestly.
well, I do. We're just not big on Twitter. We have a
I know
Twitter.
nothing of Twitter.
I barely do. We have a Twitter, but it's just there for right now. We may use it in the future, but we have a Twitter. But the best way to stay up with your girls is facebook.com/double-A-crime-files. Please like it, share it, and listen. Um, I was thinking, Arian, since we're going to be virtual now, we're gonna have to actually put clothes on when we do our podcast.
I know. I actually will have to like straighten my hair and not have my bangs part like the Dead Sea.
Look, guys, I'm gonna make you this promise. I'll put clothes on, but I'm not wearing a bra. You can't make me. I
I
work
mean,
from home.
the camera will be up. We just got to make our face look pretty, and if anything, we can just set our boobs on the table, make it look like it's propped up.
Well, my boobs are always on the table. I mean, I'm 31. They hang. Guys, um, I'm glad that we're going to be going virtual because then you can actually see our expressions. Because when we're doing these podcasts, we're on Duo, muted on Duo. We're listening to each other record. So we're seeing each other's facial expressions, what helps with the conversation. But you're not seeing them. And golly, we make some crazy faces. And I cannot wait. It's just going to be a better way to interact with us. And a lot of people love the live streaming aspect because a lot of people want to listen to us live stream on YouTube. Um,
Because I
and
mean,
we don't do.
accidents happen, you guys. Like
Yeah.
you'll probably see her kids running in the background. You'll see my dogs messing around in the background. You'll just
You'll
mishaps
be a
will
part of our
happen.
family. You'll see how we're just genuine friends, and you'll see our family. We're not like YouTubers. We're not a scripted thing. We don't have a green screen and the perfect setting. We're just in our living rooms with a webcam and a microphone. We're not going to change that. We're not going to go be like the mainstream podcasters and YouTubers. We're not going to do that. We're just going to continue to have our conversations, and you'll actually get to see us and interact with us. So we'll be a big virtual family, okay? But you've got to follow our Instagram. You've got to like our Facebook so you can get these updates. You've got to subscribe to our YouTube. I'm pushing that now because we need the subscribers so people can get the information. You can't get the notifications if you're not going to subscribe. You will only get what Anchor tells you when it releases it to the podcast site, but you won't get the goodies unless you subscribe to YouTube, follow our Instagram, like our Facebook. Guys, you can find us nearly everywhere at Double A Crime Files. And I've uploaded and created a new logo for us and a new cover for us. Please look for that and let me know what you think. And that's all I have to say. Anything you gotta say, Arianne?
I don't. I do
Right.
not. So that is our news, our
today.
crime case for today.
Yeah.
We will be back here on Thursday with another episode of Amber's
Crazy ass mystery.
I'll probably, because I roll my eyes, you guys, every time she does her stories. Like, I roll my eyes. I will be blankly staring because I have to, like, figure out all the events. And normally I try to picture it in my head, and that's why I have a blank look on my face. And it's not because I'm not paying attention. It's because I'm paying attention too hard.
And she's like, what the fuck? So Thursday we will not be virtual. Sunday
we will what we're doing is we're testing it out throughout the week. We're hoping to get it up as soon as we can, but we will definitely let you guys know in advance when it does. We just want to make sure that there's no technical difficulties and we're not sitting there for an hour and a half trying to fix it.
Facebook was terrible for us. So we're hoping to have this ready so we can do this starting Sunday, since Sundays we were typically live streaming anyway. So we're wanting to start this and get it ready by our next live stream. So Thursday will not be virtual. You'll still get this update the normal way, but hopefully Sunday you'll be seeing us. And on Sundays, my husband is home on Sundays. So you guys will see him, interact with him. He'll probably be cussing out Call of Duty. But that's what it is. And you'll see, we'll welcome you to the family on Sunday since it's our chit chat. And on Sunday, our guest co-host is my mother. Guys, you're going to meet my mom. And does she have some stories for you? You're going to be at the end of your chair on her stories because they are good and paranormal. So,
so look out for that. Look out for those coming up events. We will definitely let you guys know and keep you guys updated in advance.
I've been working hard for you guys. I've been working my butt
She has.
I'm so excited. I'm about to go and get on Facebook on our page and update Facebook with everything I've been doing. So if you go follow it, you'll know exactly what I've been doing. So I can't wait till we get virtual so you can see us and laugh at mine and Arianne's faces. Please, when you screenshot them, please tag us on Instagram.
No, don't tag us. You're not. Well, you can tag Amber, but don't tag me. Okay, y'all can. Don't tag me. So that's it. That's it for tonight, you guys. Come back again for Thursday. We will update you guys even more on Thursday after Amber's unsolved case. We will definitely let you guys know what's going on. So this is Double A
signing out.
Bye, guys.